On Friday, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that same-sex marriage in America is legal in all 50 states. It was a divided ruling, and the swing vote was Justice Anthony Kennedy, who ruled that it is clear that folks who are gay should have the same right and same protection under the Constitution as every other couple. It certainly ends a long battle that is taking place throughout this country. You had a number of states, more than 30, that actually had state mandated bans against same-sex marriage. But now, as a result of this ruling, all those state laws are invalidated. But it does not stop states from still trying to oppose it. On Friday, before he went to Charleston, President Barack Obama spoke from the White House.
This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free.
Reactions across the country have been mixed. Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam had this to say.
Obviously, the Supreme Court decision overturns a vote that the people of Tennessee had several years ago. That being said, we will fully comply with the law.
Activist Ashley Yates, many of you know her from, of course, the Black Lives Matter. Ashley, who is a lesbian, she tweeted this: resistance, liberation, pride would have never happened if not for black women. She also talked about, she also said this, quote, this flag that's represented erasure, especially of black trans women like Marsha P. Johnson, might need to go. And one of the things that she said, again, is that in one of her other tweets, we don't have it, she talked about it was African Americans, the fight for the Equal Protection Clause and others that actually formed the basis of this Supreme Court decision. Reaction to the Supreme Court ruling that same-sex marriage is legal in America.
Well, this country has been historically anti-homosexual, and up until very recently, homosexual people faced a lot of discrimination, yet and still they were able to change policy in this country up to the Supreme Court level. My reaction to this whole thing is, boy, white people can do, look what they can do. Look how powerful they are, because this is a predominantly white-led movement, the gay movement. And I was thinking to myself, if only we had black folks who would go against the tide of white supremacy in this country and advocate to the presidential level and make it politically incorrect to destroy our lives. This is inspirational in terms of what people can do. But I don't agree with the sister that black people were at the foundation of this. White gays have been fighting for this and surpassing all other people of color's issues that are relevant to that community for years, and now they finally got what they wanted. So congratulations.
Well, I think our fight is at the ancestry of this. I mean, our fight for civil rights is what precipitated their ability to do this. And now that this has succeeded, we can use those resources to help fight to legalize being black in America.
One of the things I find very compelling about the LGBT community and how far they've come in the last 20, 30 years compared to where we as African Americans are, and we've kind of regressed in terms of our political power, what we're able to get done versus what they've been able to do. They've changed the definition of what it is to be homosexual in America. It used to be something that people like that were still ostracized back in the 80s or the 90s, and particularly when AIDS started, all the way till now, where my children see homosexuality as normal. Right? And so if you think about that versus how we as African Americans are still considered thugs, are still considered, criminals, and all these negative connotations that are connected to African Americans, I have to ask myself, what is it? How are these connections being made, and how is it that we can't take apart those connections from us, which have implications in policy, which have social implications, but yet the LGBT community can make such progress in 20, 30 years?
Well, first of all, I think one of the things that would say, and Clea, you talked about this. I mean, you're over Black Men's Exchange, same gender loving group, and it also comes down to resources. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have folks who are in positions of power, you have folks who are billionaires and others, you can literally fund various efforts. That's a whole lot different. Bishop Jackson, you certainly have a take on this as well.
Yeah, I do. I'm concerned about religious liberties. What we have is a shift of power. And what we're looking at is there can be oppression against the church. Think about it this way. Houston, the mayor was asking, I want to see pastor sermons. Are you treating people freely? Hey, stay out of my church. In San Antonio, folks who go to churches that preach about traditional marriage, their jobs and contracts were not going to be offered to their members, and so it's pushback. So what we're dealing with now is it's not politically correct to say, I believe in traditional marriage or family. So the decision may open the door for persecution. I had death threats here in D.C. when I was dealing for traditional marriage rights, meaning the right to vote on this issue, not go through the court. 50 million people's votes have been ignored. There's power, as all three of you all said, on the side of gays and lesbians. Let's hope that that power is not used against the church to silence yet another group of people, whether they be black or brown, they're Christian, who need to have their voice heard and their rights respected.
And obviously, I mean, this is a huge issue in terms of, and you're already seeing, I mean, the moment the Supreme Court came down with this decision around 10 o'clock, I mean, you literally had gay couples going to clerk offices around the country, immediately trying to get licenses. In Texas and Louisiana, they still were saying, well, hold up, we're waiting to hear from our Texas attorney, from our attorney generals about this particular issue as well. Cleo, you want to make a comment?
I want to say that what this shows me again is that people have power, regardless of hateful or disagreeing attitudes in the populace. And another point I want to make is that if white people were against white supremacy, there would be no white supremacy. There were white people who were against there being anti-gay legislation, and they successfully destroyed that, and now they can legally get married. So I think the black people need to understand in this country that we need to step up and come out of this trauma trance and come to our own rescue, because nobody's going to do it for us. And again, I'll reiterate that if white people were against white supremacy, look at the power of the white gay community and what they've done, it would be over with. So we got to step up and get rid of these systems that lead to the murder of our people, police brutality, and people, when we terrorize, it being undercut to something that's not terrorist by the FBI. We have to resist that, and we also have to resist what Roland's been mentioning in terms of the white press constantly downsizing our issues and bringing in black people that they're comfortable with. It's about perpetuating a white comfort zone instead of a black liberation zone. And we need to be ourselves stepping up against our oppression as a people in the media and on the ground.
Well, one of the things that we're also going to have a